Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, a telethon is scheduled next week to aid flood and tornado victims in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee.
We'll have highlights of this year's Mississippi 4-H Congress. In
Southern Gardening, Accessible Gardens. One Purvis resident has raised his beds to new heights to give more access to older visitors.
In the markets, the United States no longer dominates global chicken sales as the USDA cuts new crop corn ending stocks.
In the feature segment, the weather was poor, but the support was high at February's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions.
We had to put heat lamps on the hogs to make sure that they didn't get too cold, because if they get too cold, they'll start to lose weight, and that's not very good. This is the first year they've allowed us to do that in the barns because of fire hazards.
Good day, everyone. I'm Amy Taylor.
And I'm Artist Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
Farm Week viewers are invited next weekend to participate in a telethon to help raise money to benefit tornado and flood victims in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee.
Amy, the broadcast will be carried nationwide and in the Mid-South on a variety of television channels in the region. It will originate from the studios of Mississippi Public Broadcasting in Jackson. Called Rise for Relief, the broadcast will take place Saturday, June 25th from 7 to 9 p.m. Money raised during the telethon will go to the Red Cross and be earmarked specifically to help tornado and flood victims in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Viewers will be able to make their donations by calling in toll-free or texting. The telethon will feature a variety of musical artists from the three-state area. MPB Executive Director Jay Wood said Rise for Relief will provide an opportunity for all of us to make a difference in the lives of those affected. You will be able to see the telethon on a variety of outlets. It will be carried statewide in Mississippi on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. It will be carried nationwide on RFD TV's satellite and cable network. It will also be carried on 10 other television stations. In Mississippi, the stations are WABG Greenwood, WCBI Columbus, WDAM Hattiesburg, WHLT Meridian, WLBT Jackson, WLOX Biloxi, and WTOK in Meridian. In Louisiana, the station is WAFB Baton Rouge. In Tennessee, Rise for Relief will be shown in Memphis on WKNO and WMC.
Every summer, hundreds of 4-Hers attend the Mississippi 4-H Club Congress to showcase their talents, compete in contests, and develop leadership skills. This year, United Healthcare is partnering with 4-H to launch its new initiative, Youth Voice, Youth Choice. The program educates communities about living healthier lives with proper nutrition and exercise. Mississippi State University recently hosted 4-H Club Congress, drawing participants from all over the state. The event includes various contests ranging from visual presentations to livestock to engineering to knowledge and skills. Workshops were also available, such as ballroom and line dancing, the magic of forest products, and job interview skills. In addition, state officers were elected and leadership team members were chosen. Katie Penny, last year's State 4-H reporter, describes what Club Congress is all about.
It gives everybody an opportunity to come to one place, and Club Congress altogether is all about elections, running for your office, but then it's about your project and your contest, and you spend time studying for this project or contest, and then you come here and it gives you a chance to compete with other 4-Hers. Primarily what I'll take with me is the leadership roles that I've learned.
In addition to competing with her horse visual presentation, Penny was awarded the Troy and Mildred Holiday 4-H Scholarship and won the clothing selection contest. One of the highlights of 2011 Club Congress was a $45,000 check 4-H received to help kick off United Healthcare's new initiative, Youth Voice, Youth Choice. Bob Williams of UHC presented the check to Mississippi 4-H.
We want to reach people and talk to them about exercise, diet, nutrition, why that's so important, especially here in Mississippi, where we have so many people with diabetes, heart disease, cardiovascular disease. 4-H was chosen because this is a group of dynamic leaders, young people. They are already very active in their community. They know other individuals and children there, and we know that they can reach out to their friends, to their families, and make a difference in their community throughout the state.
Williams says the check will go a long way to serve the mission of 4-H and Youth Voice, Youth Choice by funding health fairs and after-school events to promote healthy living. From Mississippi State University, I'm Amy Taylor reporting.
We have more now from last week's supply-demand report from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It sets up a scenario where weather trends will drive the market for corn this summer, and wheat prices are projected to hit a record. Market to Market's Mark Pearson reports.
Adverse weather conditions, reductions in acreage, and tighter ending stocks were highlights of the report. According to USDA, total U.S. corn acreage will fall by more than 1.5% to 90.7 million acres. The number reflects the corn acres lost to flooding in the Ohio and Mississippi River valleys. Officials left the average yield unchanged at 158.7 bushels per acre. If realized, that would result in record corn production of 13.2 billion bushels. Already tight old crop numbers remained unchanged, while new crop ending stocks fell by more than 20% to 695 million bushels. USDA's projection for the average price was $6.50 per bushel. Guesstimates for planted soybean acreage were unchanged, with the harvest projected at 3.3 billion bushels. That would be the second highest soybean crop on record, but unlike corn, the bumper crop is offset by an increase in ending stocks due to decreased Chinese demand. According to USDA, soybean ending stocks increased nearly 20% to 190 million bushels, and analysts pegged the average soybean price at $14. U.S. wheat production is expected to be reduced by nearly 7% to slightly over 2 billion bushels as fewer acres were planted and projected yields declined. While old crop exports are expected to decrease by 2% to 680 million bushels, ending stocks are projected to be 15% lower. The average price is estimated at $7.70, which would be a record. The report was considered by analysts as bullish for corn, bearish for soybeans, and neutral to bearish for wheat. But the big story in this report remains reduced acreage and very tight corn supplies. In its latest estimates, USDA predicted a corn stocks-to-use ratio of just 5%. And with the U.S. crop in its infancy, weather concerns and investor positioning is expected to influence the market in the days ahead.
A person's physical limitations can interfere with the basic enjoyment of the vegetable garden. In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us a vegetable garden that's within the reach of everyone.
One of the pure joys of summer is harvesting fresh vegetables. Today I'm at my friend John's taking a look at his accessible vegetable garden. Sometimes physical limitations can interfere with the basic enjoyment of the vegetable garden. The first things you notice in John's garden are the raised planters. About 2.5 feet high, they really bring the garden up to you. John has added boards for seating areas while working the raised beds or just plain visiting. Growing in these raised beds are a variety of commonly grown vegetables. Here, cucumbers scramble up and around a fence trellis, making harvest easier. Red potatoes are harvested without having to bend down to the ground. In the center of the garden is the tower bed, where pineapple sage and mandevilla vine will attract butterflies and hummingbirds. Irrigation is so vital for a successful harvest. John is growing tomatoes in sub-irrigating containers on this bench and trellis structure. Yellow squash are also growing in these containers. Each sub-irrigated container has its own water faucet, which eliminates having to move a hose around the garden. The only garden tools John needs are a small set made for children. A vegetable garden can be therapeutic for many, but with a few modifications, everyone can enjoy it. I'm Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says with a few modifications, everyone can enjoy vegetable gardening. In our feature segment today, it might be hot now, but this year's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions was marked by winter storms. The sale was still a success in spite of the weather. Time now for the markets, and some developments in Europe may have a positive effect on our soybean prices. That story coming up a bit later.
That's right, Amy. Leighton Spann left us some good market headlines here. The U.S. loses its top slot as the top chicken exporter in the world. Analysts expect more cattle to head to market as the government ends the corn ending stocks in a big monthly report. For more than 30 years, U.S.-based companies have been the #1 chicken exporters in the world. However, the Food and Agriculture Organization released figures this month that show a change at the top. Brazil is now occupying first place according to the FAO. The report indicates the United States' slip to second place is due to an expansion in poultry by Brazil, along with a shrinking chicken industry in neighboring Argentina. In the beef sector, traders have spent most of the week looking forward to the Friday, June 17th Cattle on Feed report. Although this program is being recorded before the actual report release, we do have some projections from private analyst Allendale Incorporated. That firm expects to see increased cattle marketings and increased total on feed. Placements are projected to be smaller than a year ago. Meanwhile, the stronger dollar is ramping up concern among traders about beef exports. Well, really strong export demand has been a corner of the hog market in recent weeks. However, there could be some trouble for pork coming out of the grain sector. The stronger dollar prompted a sell-off in corn Wednesday afternoon. The fear is that this weakness in corn could lead to increased pork production. Analyst Elaine Koob addressed the situation with hogs recently.
The slaughter numbers throughout these past couple of months have been pretty stable. So that's not really a supply concern, is not what has been moving these hog futures lower. And I'm looking at them to continue to consolidate around that $88 level. But here again, the futures contract traders themselves are really responsive to corn prices, and we see them trading in a very wide range. The July hog futures traded in a $4 range just this week.
It's not the hogs, but catfish that we focus on with our trivia quiz this week. Where does farm-raised catfish rank in the list of food and seafood consumed by Americans? Is it number 2, number 4, number 6, or number 8? I'll tell you at the conclusion of the markets.
We're going to pause now for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the second part of the markets. Artist Ford reports on the drastic changes in the corn and soybean market. In the feature segment today, the 2011 Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions in Jackson, Mississippi. The weather may have been cold, but hearts are warm.
Each year, many Mississippians are seriously injured or killed when farm tractors overturn. One cause of these accidents is improper hitching. If a tractor is hitched at any point above the drawbar, it can flip over backwards. Never hitch a tractor using the bar between the 3-point hitch upper and lower links or at the top link attachment point. The stationary drawbar is the only safe location for tractor hitching. A message from the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. Mississippi State University will hold 2 whitetail deer management short courses this fall. The first will be held Saturday, July 23rd. The cost is $95. That includes lunch, a t-shirt, and educational materials. You'll learn about the factors that influence antler size and how different harvest methods affect it. Methods also differ for spikes and bucks. The first location is Northwest Community College at Senatobia. Registration is limited to the first 70 people, and we'll have a link on the Farm Week calendar to help you register. The same workshop takes place the next weekend, Saturday, July 30th. The location is the College of Forest Resources building on the main campus of Mississippi State University in Starkville. Once again, registration is limited to 70 people at each site, so register ahead of time. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now, check out this Farm Week snapshot.
Well, the June 9th USDA crop report, as we said earlier, featured a drastic change for corn, as well as a surprise on the soybean side of the ledger. Farmweek's Leighton Spann chatted with Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley the day of the report's release.
John Michael, let's begin with new crop corn, what the report had to say. What change was made in the figure, ending stocks?
The new crop number came in at 695 million bushels for ending stocks, which is quite a drastic change from the May report, which was at 900 million bushels, and even a bit of a shocker from pre-report expectations of 800. So that was one of the shockers for the day.
Now, what about production outlook? That was ending stocks, but how did production change? Well,
they've lowered the number of acres for corn, yield per acre. They kept that constant just because it's still pretty early in the growing season, but they did lower the acres due to the slow pace of planting and the fact that some of those acres might be switching to other crops.
All right, as far as corn, what are these figures expected to mean for prices the rest of this month?
Quite a bullish number, especially due to that low ending stock number for the 2011-12 growing season. So the expectation is that this is just going to add further fuel to that corn price.
All right, let's change gears to soybeans now. Was there a change made as far as ending stocks and soybeans?
There was. It was raised 30 million bushels from 160 in May up to 190 this month, and pre-report it was thinking it was going to stay the same at 160 from the May report. So a bit of a change a surprise on both sides there. The biggest thing is that they raised the 2010-2011 crop carry in, and then exports were reduced a little bit, which made that ending stock number just a little bit bigger. So that was probably one of the bigger surprises, that and corn, in terms of this report that was released this morning.
Are there really any understanding of why that kind of change was made?
Well, there's nothing really on the production side for soybeans. It's primarily due to the fact that they raised ending stock for 2010-11 up 10, and then they reduced exports by 20, which accumulates to that total 30 number, raising 30 for the ending stocks for the growing season that we're currently in. So that's where it all came from. Nothing on the production side, though, for this growing season.
All right, so for, say, the next month, how are soybean prices expected to react now?
Well, it's a bit of a negative news for the soybean market, but just given the fuel that corn is going to be seeing, it's probably going to limit some of those losses. But I think that soybeans will probably react negatively to this news and might be down just a little bit.
There is some positive news to be had for the soybean sector. It's a result of some issues in Europe and Canada. Analyst Sue Martin says these issues will support soybean oil and as a result push the bean market higher. Sue explained it this way on the Market to Market program.
When you look at Europe, you've got in Germany rapeseed problems. It looks like their crop could be down anywhere from 10 to 20%. France and other parts of Europe are very dry and are having issues. But I think that, and again, then you look at Canada and another place where they're having issues getting rapeseed canola planted. I think that that all comes back and supports soybean oil and pushes that market higher. And in the past, November beans have tended to rally $1.75 over the last, I want to say, 4 years for a summer rally.
Let's give you the trivia question before we roll the feature story. C is the right choice. Farm-raised catfish is the number 6 position on the list of fish and seafood consumed by Americans.
In today's feature segment, we return you to the February 10th Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. Mother Nature provided quite a unique experience for those involved in this year's sale, but dangerous weather conditions were no match for livestock buyers, families, and supporters of the big sale. The prestigious event still collected more than $250,000 in sales and awarded scholarships to deserving livestock exhibitors. 4-H and FFA exhibitors at the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions found that qualifying for the big sale would not be the only challenge they faced. But despite dangerous weather conditions, the sale must go on. Come rain, snow, sleet, or hail, the week after the Dixie National Junior Roundup, one thing is certain: the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions is going to happen. Bitter cold temperatures, snow, rain, and ice were potential threats to the health of beloved livestock. In addition, Mississippi State University Extension Livestock Specialist Dean Josan says travel was a huge issue for anyone scheduled to be at the Dixie National.
Mother Nature caused a few problems with us at Dixie National this year. We've had a couple of periods of snow and ice. Some of our main challenges have been getting our judges in. The airlines have been sort of quick to cancel a lot of flights, and with our judges coming in from all over the country, we've had some issues getting them in.
Josan was glad that in spite of the obstacles, the sale brought a packed house with buyers, families, and supporters prepared to brave the cold. Premier Exhibitor Scholarship recipient Michael Buckley says extra precautions were taken to protect the livestock.
We had to put heat lamps on the hogs to make sure that they didn't get too cold, because if they get too cold, they'll start to lose weight, and that's not very good. This is the first year they've allowed us to do that in the barns because of fire hazards.
It may have been cold outside, but the sale ring was a hotbed of activity. Sale of Champions committee member and ringman Harry Dendy talks about being in the middle of the excitement.
We have 3 ringmen, and they each have a particular part of the audience that they work. And you have to watch for bids, you have to watch for raised hands, you have to be able to tell when somebody's bidding or when they're waving at somebody across the ring. You just have to kind of be clued into what's going on. You're so hyped up and so full of adrenaline, you don't get exhausted. Probably the biggest problem I have usually about 2/3 of the way through the sale, I start losing my voice.
Dendy says he's glad to have been involved in livestock as a young person.
I was active in 4-H and FFA. I had livestock projects. Fortunately, and when I got out in the job market, the career that I chose, which was in farm credit, of course, had the livestock part of the farm credit system.
In addition, Dendy claims his background helps him relate to exhibitors as he watches them grow. The sales total at this year's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions was about $257,000. That figure includes a total of over $92,000 for the steers, $84,000 for the hogs, $55,000 for the lambs, and $25,000 for the goats. 5 premier livestock exhibitors received scholarships of $2,000 apiece. Academic scholarships of $1,500 were awarded to 25 high school seniors, and 3 Supreme Animal exhibitors received $1,000 each. Harry Dendy says those who wish to support the sale but are unable to buy an animal can contribute to the scholarship fund. One of the highlights at the sale was the parting message from Marcia Barber, who spoke about her experience as a buyer. This is her last year to attend as First Lady, but she hopes to be back. Michael Buckley describes how showing livestock has helped shape his future.
I've learned just responsibility and taking care of my animals. I get up at about 5:30 every morning and go feed my hogs and my cattle. I have to walk my cattle daily. I've had the opportunity to go to Mississippi State and learn how to artificially inseminate cattle, so that's something that I've learned at a real young age and that I'm getting better and better at as I go along and practice more.
Buckley says he aspires to become a veterinarian. Academic scholarship recipient Libby Durst talks about what she learned from her livestock project.
I learned how to be patient with the animals. When you're trying to get a cow to set its feet up just right for you, that's hard. They don't want to stand still all the time, and you can't get mad at them because they don't know what they're doing. So you have to be really patient, and also it keeps me in check of myself and what I'm doing and what example I'm putting out there for the younger people, because they're looking up to us, and you can tell when they walk through the barn and look at you and want to talk to you that they really do want to know you and that you're important to them. So you really have to be a good example for the younger kids.
Durst says showing livestock also helped her decide on a career path.
I really want to pick a career that allows me to be involved in agribusiness because it's so important to our state. And I think that's important for young people to know is just what agriculture does for our state and how they can be more active in it.
Durst says her plans could lead to a future as a state representative for agriculture. Lauren Demuth of Raymond talks about how showing livestock is a great family project.
We get to spend time with our father, and he loves doing livestock stuff, so that's how we stay close with him. My daddy buys the lambs and buys the feed and medicine, and my mom supports us and the whole thing, so we really couldn't do it without them.
Demuth says winning Reserve Grand Champion was just one of the many rewards in her project. She's taken away life skills like the value of sportsmanship and helping others.
One of my friends has like 8 lambs, and she gets some in the champion drive, then she needs somebody to help her show, and so I'll help her. It's a great way to meet new people, different people from different parts of the state.
Exhibitors say the most important life lessons involve learning from each other through teamwork and sportsmanship. Dean Josan says he's proud of the young people's exceptional conduct.
The exhibitors have been very respectful of the judges and our workers that have been here attending the shows and putting on the shows. It's always nice to see them come up to thank the people that are working the gates, working the check-in gates. and especially to thank the judge.
Those involved in the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions say the leadership and teamwork they learned helped them survive the threatening conditions of Mother Nature this year. From Jackson, Mississippi, I'm Amy Taylor reporting. You can watch this story again on our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com. We'll have links and telephone numbers there for you to find out more about junior livestock shows in Mississippi. Participation through Mississippi FFA is available at many public schools. You can also contact your county extension service office to join Mississippi 4-H. Once again, that's farmweek.msucares.com. And Michael tells me that he is preparing for the Junior Beefmaster Breeders Association National Show and Convention, and Lauren just purchased 6 new lambs for the show.
And it'll be heating up again come this fall. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our show next week, it's a feature story edition of Farm Week.
You'll go to Arkansas, where Heifer International has worked more than 60 years to help the world's poor help themselves.
You'll meet Harold Brock, the designer of the famous Ford N and John Deere 4020 tractors. Brock learned his trade as Henry Ford's apprentice.
In Southern Gardening, Delphinium, there are more than 300 varieties of this vertical bloomer.
For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artist Ford.
And I'm Amy Taylor. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.